What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today we're going to look at offensive hot routes in NCAA Football 06. In our previous two videos of our quarterback series, we talked about certain routes that beat man coverage, and we talked about how certain routes can attack zone coverage. Well, now I think it's best to talk about hot routes because you need this information to have a better play action game, which we're going to cover in a future video. So we're going to cover the various routes for the certain positions because they are different. You notice on the screen, I'm using shotgun normal. I'm going to use this formation because wide receiver hot routes are just a tad bit different than tight end hot routes or any position that is attached to the line. 9 times out of 10, it's a tight end, but you can also move down to fullback in certain formations. But anything that's attached to the line, just a little bit different. When it comes to a running back or a fullback, they have slightly different hot routes. So let's look at each one. I'm going to go ahead and select shotgun normal, and let's go ahead and select wide receiver short post. Okay. Now, in order to use hot routes, you got to hit the triangle button or Y if you're on the Xbox. But for going forward, I'm just going to say PS2 buttons. You're going to hit triangle, and boom, you got the hot route screen popped up. Let's go ahead and start off with wide receiver routes. Let's go ahead and use Meacham square as our example. You got to select your receiver. So I'm going to go ahead and hit square, and then we're going to fool around with some hot routes. The first one I'm going to do is the go route. That is the up button. I like to use the D-pad. I think you can use the joystick, but the D-pad just seems a little easier. I'm going to hit the up button. So when you zoom back out, it is a go route. Okay, simple enough. I'm going to hit triangle again. Now let's do a curl route. Let's hit the down button instead. Select your receiver first. So we're going to select square and then hit the down button. Now you have a curl route. Okay. Let's select the hot route button again. Let's select Meacham. Now let's hit the right button. This is a little dig route or an in. So I'm going to hit right. And you got a little dig, about a 6-7 yard dig more or less. So what happens if you hit the left button? Well, you hit triangle, you hit Meacham again and square, and you hit the left button. It's an out route, as you would expect. Okay, let's hit the triangle button again. Let's select Meacham, and you got two other ones that are left. It's L2 and R2. These are slants. If I hit R2, it's going to go to the right. So I'm going to hit R2. You bring up your coach cam, which again, as always, you just hold down R2, and it is now a slant route to the right. I'm going to bring up the triangle, the hot route. We're going to select Meacham, and I'm going to hit L2, and it's a slant to the other way. Okay, those are the routes for wide receivers. So there was, what, 5 or 6 there? So now you have an idea of what you can do with those. Now, a little bit later in the video, we'll cover how you can use some of them to your advantage. But let's look at tight ends. Tight ends, it's similar, but there's just a little bit difference. You can still hit triangle. You can hit triangle again for this tight end, and you can still do your go route. You can still do your curl. You can still do your dig. You can still do your out route, but you cannot do slants. If you hit L2 or R2 with a tight end, he will block, which is actually nice to have. So you're going to hit triangle. I'm going to hit triangle again for that tight end. I'm going to hit L2. Now look at him. He is blocking. Well, sometimes you need that to happen for good, better pass protection, okay? Even if I hit R2, it's still going to be a block. So anybody that is attached to the line, a tight end, or you move a fullback down, something of that nature, that's what's going to happen with L2 and R2. He's going to pass protect, okay? Halfbacks, their routes are a little bit different, but still the same buttons, okay? Let's start off with a triangle. We're going to hit R1 for our halfback, and let's go up. Go route, same as what we've seen before. We'll do it again. R1, let's hit down. That's a curl, simple. We've seen it. We're going to hit triangle. We're going to hit R1 for the halfback. You go left, boom. This is where things get a little bit different, and it's kind of weird. I'm not a big fan of the route, to be honest, but it's just a weird looking out route that's not even an out route, okay? Because what's funny is when you snap the ball, and I pressed the wrong one, to be honest, he cuts up like you see right there. So as you can imagine, if I hit triangle R1 and hit the right button, like he goes to the right side, it's the same way, it's just to the right. But notice he cuts up. it's like a wheel route, kind of, sort of, in a way. I don't know. I'm just not a really big fan of it, but I want you to be aware of it. Okay, so let's go ahead, triangle, R1 again. And we've covered everything except L2 and R2. What happens when you use L2 or R2? He blocks, just like the tight end. So the tight end and the running backs have the same blocking hot routes. So if I hit triangle to bring up the hot routes, I hit R1 for the halfback, and I hit L2, same thing. It's just a block, a lead of some sort, okay? So those are all the hot routes. That's kind of it. Now, what about using these to your advantage? Some examples I can think of, and I'll show you which ones I tend to use the most. Let's go ahead to practice type. Let's go past skeleton. That's fine. We'll go here. And one thing you can do is, we've already talked about certain routes to work against man or zone. Let's go against gun spread, and let's select a curl flat combo. As we talked about, we know curls are great against man. We know flats are really good against zone. So let's select that, and let's go up against a cover 0, for example. This is a man defense, okay? So we know these flat routes don't work very well against man. But what can you do to make this guy more effective? You can turn him into a go route. If you're not a big fan of this post route right here, let's pretend this post route isn't here. Let's hot route that triangle to a curl. It's just a short concept, okay? But we got a useless route with that flat on the left until we turn him into like a go route. We give the safeties a reason to back up. So I'm going to go hit triangle. I'm going to hit L1 for that flat route. Let's hit up. Now you got a cover 0 beater just in case. So then when you snap the ball, you can go over the top and you can make a play out of it. Okay? That is a nice thing to use of some sort. I'm trying to think of anything else. That's not the most popular one. I'll be honest, I don't use a ton of hot routes. That's my most popular one, just turning somebody to a go route. My most popular zone beater is if I do not have a center beater over the middle. Let's go ahead and select something a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and we'll select the same play. We'll go up against a quarters coverage. That's a good chance, you know, there's probably going to be nobody over the middle. Remember our center beater. You snap the ball, there's a big hole right here, and you got a route coming right there. You go to that guy. Unfortunately, this route or this play doesn't have it. We got a post, we got a curls, we got a flare and a flat, but I want something over the middle. What's the best thing to do? Well, let's use triangle, for example, because you remember this is a zone defense. We want to use this flat route. I want to leave him as is. This post isn't super useful at the moment, but let's make him more useful. I'm going to hit triangle. I'm going to hit triangle again, and I'm going to hit the left button. And now we got a little center beater. Let's see if he can get open. Do something like this. Boom, he's wide open right there. Okay? You can also, since he is a wide receiver, use a slant. That's actually a little quicker. Let's hit triangle. Let's hit triangle again and hit L2 because I want that slant to go to the left. Now we got an even better center beater. Let's snap the ball. Boom, right there. Okay, so those are my most common hot routes that I like to use against man or zone. Okay, so hot routes are very simple. There's not a whole lot to them. I bet if you played around with these enough, you can get really fancy with your hot routes and come up with some cool things. Now, I am not a Madden player. Some of these new guys where they play Madden, and what they'll do is they will hot route 18 players before they snap the ball. If you're going to do that, if I'm going to put Meacham on a go, and I'm going to put Phaeton on a dig, and I'm going to put my post on a go, and I'm going to put my halfback in a block, and I'm going to put my curl on the right side onto an out route. Yes, that's cool, but it take you like 10 seconds to get through all that. You're better off just calling a play that's similar to this. So whenever you watch me play, I don't use hot routes a ton. I use them when I need to. For example, if I need a cover 0 beater with a go route, or if I need a center beater to give me that extra zone progression to go through. Again, it's just something to think about. I suggest you practice these, fool around with different route combinations. If you come across a play that doesn't have a center beater and you want one, pick a man route and switch them and things like that. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll talk to you later.